We then get this dialog box that asks us for the macro name. Now let us suppose that this macro is for creating fractions. And so we call this macro fraction. We then need to decide the file where the macro and shortcut keys will be stored. At the moment, it says that the macro will be stored in the file normal.dotm. Now, this is the normal template for all new documents for Word. And it is important that we do not mess with the normal template for Word. Click here and see that we have a second option, and that option is Template 1. So we click on Template 1 to store the macro and the shortcut keys in Template 1. Again, do not mess with normal.dotm. Now we assign the shortcut keys. Click on Keyboard, and a second dialog box appears. This dialog box asks us what the shortcut key or keys are supposed to be. Since this is for a fraction which involves division, let's associate Control/. Now, we recommend writing down the macro name and shortcut key on a sheet of paper in case you forget the macro and the shortcut key. Take a look at this piece of information. According to this piece of information, Control/ is associated with the prefix key. Now, if you don't use the prefix feature of Word, you can stick with Control/. Otherwise, choose a different shortcut key. As for ourselves, we don't use the prefix feature, so we'll stick with Control/. In this box, we are again being asked where to save this macro. It says here that it's normal.dotm, or the normal template. And let us remind ourselves, we do not want to mess with the normal.dotm file or the normal template of Word. Click here and see that Template 1 is an option. So we select Template 1. We click Assign and close this dialog box. The recording of our macro has begun. This means that every keystroke we make, including mistakes, are being recorded. If we do make a mistake or change our mind about the macro or the shortcut key, we can easily delete the macro and start over. Now, while the macro is being recorded, we start with the field code. We start the fraction in the same way we start math expressions using field codes. Press Ctrl F9 to call up the field code brackets. Type EQ, space, backslash, and F. F, of course, for fraction. Then we type the pair of parentheses that will enclose both the numerator and the denominator. Now, there is also this annoying space between the closing parenthesis and the closing bracket. We delete this space to avoid the creation of unwanted spaces in our fraction. We bring the cursor inside the pair of parentheses. We leave the fraction blank so that what we have is something like a blank check that we call up by using our shortcut keys. We are just about done with this macro. To finish, we go to Macros, we go and click on Macros, and click Stop Recording. So we have just created our first macro. Now, time to field test our new limited fraction macro. Let's clear everything. Press the shortcut keys for the fraction macro. And do you remember what the shortcut keys are supposed to be? It's Control/. Pressing Control/, the fraction field appears. The cursor is between the pair of parentheses. We type the numerator, which for now, let's say it's A. Type comma, and then the denominator, and let's just say it's B. Cut this entire line of code and paste, and you have A over B.